Welcome to another Tuesday night shiur. How are you, Tzaddik? How are you doing? Good? Excellent? Perfect. Me too. Parashat Vayetze. Vayetze Yaakov mibe'er Shava vayed Haran. You know, there's 14 years of information that's not written in the Torah. From when Yaakov Avinu left his father's house, which he was commanded by who? By his father and mother, both. Excuse me, Yitzchak Avinu and Rivka Imenu both told their son, go to your uncle's house, Lavan, and marry his daughter. But what did he do? He made a pit stop. You know, we have a very big misconception. We think that once we are good in the bank, then we're good to get married. And this is extremely wrong amongst young people. Extremely, extremely wrong. It's not true. It's not true at all. And what's the pure raya? What's the proof to this? Yaakov Avinu, for 14 years, where did he stop?
Yeshiva.
Yeshiva. Which yeshiva? Shem ve'ever. He stopped. He went. What? Well, that was the kids of Shem. Shem ve'ever, Yeshiva Shem ve'ever. And we see that he stopped and he learned for 14 years behatmada u'beritzivut, with pure seriousness and with straightness. Meaning he wasn't the guy that was always by the coffee, always going outside for the cigarette break. He was the guy that was sitting and learning Torah for 14 years. The Gemara says in Masechet Avodah Zarah, there's like 6 chapters there? No, 8 I think. It had like 400 chapters. Can you imagine how much information this man needed to learn? But he knew he would not be prepared to get married, excuse me, until he would accomplish and learn what he needs to learn in order to survive. And how old was he? How old was Yaakov Avinu when he left his parents' house? Do you know? 63 years old. That whole story that he's fighting with his brother to steal but to take the blessings, he was 63 years old. He was an old man. He's what we called the age of becoming a great-grandfather in this generation. And he was not married yet. And he had his responsibility. He said, before I get married, I have to stop and learn Torah and Yeshiva. You know, I said this last week, I'll say it again. I have, the Persians are very into marrying their daughters to men that have houses. Why? Or that are very financially stable. Especially by the Parsiim. They say that the Rambam says, he does say this, that you have to first have a house, and then Lisa Isha, then get married. But the Rambam also says you have to finish Kula Torah Kula before you get married to. And that's the very big misconception that most people have. Especially in our days, a person cannot be mitnaheg be'achdut or be'yichud kudshabrichu in his own house if he doesn't invite HaKadosh Baruch Hu into his household. Today I got a phone call from a guy that's engaged, and he said, Rabbi, I'm breaking off my engagement. I can't. We're not compatible, Rabbi. It's just not going to work out. And the wedding is in a month and a half. Excellent guy, excellent girl. It's not working out. I'm starting to realize that our life goals and our life responsibilities and how we want to live our life is really not the same. I thought I would just wing it. We have similarities, but Badil v'avor, if it works out, it works out, and I'll hold it in as much as I could. I said, John, this is the wrong reason why you get married. You don't start a family. He said, Rabbi, but you don't understand. That dating process is more horrifying to me than getting married. And I'm looking at him, I say, you're willing to burn your life, not because any of you are bad, just because you guys are you guys are not, in their eyes, they're not willing to work on themselves. Marriage, soon I'm starting my marriage series, my dating series again. I do it a little after, usually towards the end of Sefer Bereshit. People have to understand when you start to go out, and we see that in this week's parasha, you have to understand you're in total responsibility and in war 24/7. With who? With your Yetzer Hara. You're not in war with each other. That's what the Goyim are going to tell you. This Goyim always preach this. Oh, you have to this, you have to... No, to work together. The problem is people have this wrong mindset and it destroys people during the Shidduchim. They're going out and they're going out for the wrong intentions. They're not looking at what's more important. Do we want the same life goals? Do we want the same hashkafa? What do they look for? Ta'avot, which means desires. Each one to his own. I'm not going to start now saying, but ta'avot they're looking into. And that's not proper. That's against what Yaakov Avinu, our great grandfather, said. He said, before I start my life, which I will start, which I don't know if everyone knows, but the Midrash says that, so the Torah says that Kitv Ari says that Yaakov Avinu was planning to marry who? He was planning to marry Rachel Imenu. Why? Because he knew Rachel Imenu. He was going to marry both older sisters at the end. But what happened? As we see in this week's parasha, his father-in-law tricked him. How? He said, listen, you can't let the younger one get married before the older one. Lo alech kacha. You have to first let the older one get married, then the younger one. And you know, Yaakov Avinu got punished in his reincarnations because he married two sisters. People don't speak about this. He got punished. He wasn't supposed to. He had to first marry Rachel Imenu. She would have two kids. She would have passed away. And then he would have married Leah. But what happened? Hashem, he turned it around. And now let's look at this story. Let's look at the story of Yaakov Avinu from this scope. Yaakov Avinu, when he left his father's house, he left with an abundance. Don't think for a second he left penniless. He left with an abundance. A lot of money, a lot of servants, a lot of good. A big, it's called a booty in America. A big amount. While he was traveling and going to Lavan's house, he has a nephew, an interesting nephew, which from this own nephew came out Amalek. Can you imagine? From this own nephew that he had, that he learned from him, he learned from this uncle. He goes to his uncle and he says, listen, I have a mitzvah of kivud avim. What's the mitzvah of kivud avim? My father commanded me to kill you. My father is Esav, I have to kill you. What do you want me to do? Not mekayim the mitzvah of kivud avim? No? It's a good ta'ana. I have to kill you. Even though the halakha says that if your father says to kill your Rebbe, you're not allowed to kill your Rebbe. So what did Yaakov Avinu say? If you take all my riches, and you take all my gold, and you take all my diamonds, and you take everything from me, it's considered like I'm dead. Next week's parasha, we see that Yaakov Avinu says, B'makli avarti. I only crossed the river to get to Lavan with a stick. That's all I had. I only had that. I only had a stick. We see something very, very interesting. You know, we look at Eliphaz in a very crooked way. Let's analyze what Eliphaz was really doing here. How did he come to actually agree to take his money? You see, Eliphaz, it says in last week's parasha, one of his main rebbein was his grandfather Yitzchak. Yitzchak Avinu loved Eliphaz very much. Very, very much. You would think the kid's a shovavnik. He's a chuligan. What do? We take the kid, say, get out of my house. We don't need you. Kids like you, there's plenty. I don't need you. You know, when Rav Uri Zohar, I don't know if you guys ever heard about him. He was a movie star in Israel. He was Choser B'Tshuva in his peak of his success of his life. The guy was Ashkenaz, anti all Torah, mitzvot, anti everything. And through having a logical conversation with an intelligent person, he realized he was living a life of fake. He was in his 40s. Can you imagine that? When this Rav Uri Zohar came back to Torah mitzvot, he had one son that was very big shobav, chuligan. He said, listen, You lived life. You enjoyed. I also want to enjoy. Rav Uri Zohar said he wanted to take the son and he wanted to throw him from the house. But he asked that Torah. And that Torah, you know what they told him? Take all of your other kids, throw them out of the house, and spend as much time as you can with this child that's giving you such a hard time. And that's what he did. And that son now, I think, is a Rosh Yeshiva in a yeshiva or a Maggid Shir. He's learning Torah mitzvot. Why? Because if such a bad potential is out there, if the person can achieve such a bad influence towards others, then you know this person also has a huge koach. Who is like that in the Gemara? Anyone? Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish, you know what? That wasn't his name. Reish Lakish is the head of all smugglers. He was the head thief. Imagine being the head of all the mob. All of it. You know how he became religious? He saw his brother-in-law taking a bath. It wasn't his brother-in-law yet. Taking a bath in the lake.
He was a convert.
He thought it, that's Rabbi Akiva.
Reish Lakish wasn't a convert?
Who?
Reish Lakish wasn't a convert?
No, he was not.
Rabbi Akiva was a convert?
Yes, I'm going to get into it later on. He was a third generation. His grandfather was a convert. Wait, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Shh, you guys are jumping it. What happened? Listen to this. Reish Lakish, tava, desires. His brother-in-law, which wasn't yet his brother-in-law, was a Nazir. A Nazir is someone that doesn't shave their head. They let their hair grows. But he didn't grow any facial hair, and he didn't realize that was a man. He thought it was a woman. He thought it was a woman. And he goes, while the person's taking a bath, he jumps on the guy. He thought it was a woman. He looks, what is it? It's a man. Chotam Brad. Whoa! What's going on? I know I'm a thief, but I didn't sign up I'm not in 2020. We don't do rainbows around here. I listen, this is not my ball game. And what did this rabbi tell him? He turned around and he said, "You think I'm beautiful? I have a sister that's 10 times more beautiful than him. If you're Choser B'Tshuvah, I'll make sure you marry her." What? How does that make sense? Will you ever let your daughter marry such a person? Honestly, don't lie. No way. What? What's even the pshat? How can you even think that way? He didn't say that. You know what he said? He has potential. This man can jump from where he jumped and be the best whoever he is, and can be so successful in doing averot, then for sure he can be successful doing mitzvot. And he married her, and he was Choser B'Tshuvah. It says in the Gemara, when he used to learn Torah, they were charutas. They used to see sparks coming out of their mouth. They used to learn with such enthusiastic. They used to be with such hargasha. That's called learning Torah. People think if they have a bad past, no hope. It's asuk to think that way. Both for men and for women. Hashem created the greatest gift, and it's called Zman, time. That's only relevant in this realm. And only in this world is there time. And the reason why He created time was for one thing and one thing only. To do teshuvah. When you do teshuvah, you're going back in time and you're fixing yourself. But on condition you never return to that past. That was Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim. Learning Torah. Learning Torah is my life. He didn't say it's too hard for me. He didn't say I don't understand the Gemara. He didn't say why is this relevant for me. He didn't say any of this Zit Kisat stuff. You know what he said? I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to be better. I want to achieve. I want to be able to be successful. And then where did he go? He went right away after learning all the Torah. He went to Lavan's house. He went to test his knowledge now. He gets to Lavan's house, and who does he see? Rachel Imeinu. He sees Rachel.
Aren't you not allowed to do that? Aren't you not allowed to bring yourself to a test?
Yeah, but he was going to get married.
It's his cousin.
He was going to get married. He's answering on what I said to take action to what you learn. He was going to get married, and he knew that his parents told him to marry that family. And he went. And what's the first thing Lavan did, you know? He gave him such a juicy kiss, Lavan. Such a warm hug, you know? Like a real uncle should do. You want to know why? He wanted to see where's the money at. Rashi says he was thinking for a second. Eliezer came to take Rivka with 10 camels full of gold and silks and jewelry. Hey, this guy's coming with no money? Bepul? What's going on over here? What kind of krachavor is my daughter going to marry? But not one, he gives 4 daughters to him. Can you imagine? Zilpah and Bilhah were also his daughters. Different mother, but same father. You want to know why he gave it to him? Because he knew Yaakov Avinu was a blessed man. When Yaakov Avinu married into that family, you know what happened? He had a baby boy. He only had girls until now. You know what else happened? He became very successful in business. A person has to understand, if he has Torah in his life, the success will follow you. You don't need to run after the success. People always ask me, how do these Hasidic Jews, or they don't know anything. They don't even know proper English. They still talk with such a European accent, like they're still back in Europe. How are they all, not all, but how are so many of them so successful? Like filthy rich. You wanna know why? Because their life, their derech of living is based on the Torah. A day doesn't go by that they have a steady shiur Torah. Steady. Doesn't make a difference where they are in the world. I learned with one guy like this. Every day we're on the phone. Every day for an hour. Filthy rich. Wherever he will be in the world, he'll make sure. One time he bought me Wi-Fi on a plane, just because the time was such a difference and we were learning through WhatsApp. He called me, he said, don't worry about it. What is this? Shiur Torah, Shiur Torah. Keva is Keva. Consistency is consistency. The problem is, the reason why we don't do it, because we don't see it valuable. We don't see that it's valuable. A person that doesn't have Torah in his life, I guarantee to you, he's not a person that's meusham. He doesn't have a sense of fulfillment in his life. A girl that goes on shidduchim and doesn't understand this very important. My future husband or the guy I'm going out with doesn't learn Torah. It means he doesn't have priorities of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How am I going to raise my kids? How's my life going to be? Is he going to be able to put me as a priority over everyone else? And put Hashem as a priority over everyone else? He won't be able to if he doesn't put his mind to learning Torah. Now, I'm not telling you this to offend someone or to hurt. I'm just trying. You have to realize the importance of learning. The importance. I had many guys that used to come to the shiur. I told them, you don't need this anymore. Find yourself a chavruta. Every day, find yourself a chavruta. Go learn Gemara every day. Go learn Mishnayot every day. Get up and go do something else. That's the level we have to reach. We have to finish from first grade and go up to second grade, and then to third grade, and then to fourth grade, and so on and so forth. And that is Yaakov Avinu. When he got married, imagine working. You know, he was poor for the majority of his life until the last couple of months before he left Lavan's house. Because for 14 years, he was working for who? For his wives. 7 years for Rachel and 7 years for Leah. Can you imagine that? Imagine living under the grace of your father-in-law. It's the worst feeling in the world. The worst thing in the world. But you know why Yaakov Avinu did it? Because he saw the big picture. He knew if I'm going to sacrifice right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to pay me 10 times later. And that's what he did. He was the first person that got the secret of cloning. How do you do that? Lavan tells him, listen, all the freckled, all the checkered, and all the spotted sheep, they're all yours. I don't need this defect kind of sheep. They're yours. So you know what he did? The Chumash goes into detail in the Midrashim how he made it that the sheep should give birth to such animals. Their kids should all be freckled and they should have like checkered colors and different colors. How? You know how he did it? In the time of their zivug, when the animals were mating, in the water, when they would drink the day before or that day, he would put sticks that had different shapes in different colors. So the animal would see it, and what the animal thinks about, that's what comes out. And the Ari brings down, of course, when you get to the proper age, your machshava, your thought process, at the time of creating a child, you're actually creating the destiny of your child at that moment. Can you imagine how a couple of seconds is going to determine years of your child? Do you hear what I just told you? If you don't have goosebumps from that, you're crazy. A couple of seconds can determine the destiny, your whole child's life. And a person says, why do I need this? Why do I need Torah? Why? Of course, I'll tell you why you need it. Where's your head 24/7? Is it thinking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Is it thinking about how I can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How can I make my life better? Or is it only about shtuyot and nonsense? Elamai, you should work. And if you go to college, you should finish your college. I'm not ever telling you to drop out. But it doesn't mean for 1 second you have to cut your time from learning Torah. Ever. Do you understand? Now, there's something very important that we see also in this week's parasha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol nihya bidvaro.
Amen.
Thank you for whoever made it. It tastes very good.
Rabbi, why you spill before you drink?
Why I spill before I drink?
This is already voodoo stuff.
It's not voodoo, it's a Gemara. Masechet Chulin brings down that a person has to understand in life there's always chitzonim, there's always negativity. And you have to understand the negativity also needs its portion. Why we do Mayim Achronim? Of course, because the Gemara says, because your hands are sticky and dirty, you shouldn't eat different things if it's disgusting. There's many simple answers, but the deeper answer is because you have to give the Satan his portion. Here, take it. Just leave me alone. Leave me out. Don't make sure I don't choke and die from this food. Here, take it. That's why another thing when someone for food. Let's say when someone. Again, I'm not telling anyone you should do this. This is in their own levels.
It's a concept.
Oh, let's say you have a plate of food, right? The best bite of food is when? The last bite. When you're fully satisfied and it's always the last piece of pizza or the last French fry on the table. That's what it is. Yeah, you say no, I'm telling you yes. Unless you have the munchies, then the first one is better.
It's the first bite.
Okay.
This is the first one.
That last bite, one of the biggest tavot is to put it aside and say, I'm not eating it. I'm not eating it. This last one this is I'm breaking my yitzhara. It's not for me.
Rabbi, if you throw it out, it's like...
Oh, I heard many of this. I'm not telling you to take a bite of pizza and say the leftovers all garbage. It's a small bite. It's not
So
considered
where are the
garbage.
leftovers supposed to go?
In my stomach.
In the garbage. Mayim Achronim, you're not going to say this water is holy.
Yeah, but when you throw it out, there's a thing you're not allowed to throw out food.
Again, avada, you don't throw out a big amount of portion. You throw out something small. I'm going to tell you, I read a study, I think it's in New Zealand. The government in New Zealand, they made an experiment. I think it's New Zealand, I don't know, it's one of the European countries. They asked all its citizens in the country, whoever wants chickens, they're going to give them free chickens. 3 chickens. And they said many families said they want it. So why did they do this? They made a study. They said that 100 tons a year, 100 tons of waste was no more.
Wow.
The chickens, those 3 chickens they had, ate all the garbage food that the people throw out. You know how much food, you know how much waste of food that is?
Wow.
The egg market crashed. Why? Everyone has fresh eggs every morning. I just threw this out to tell you that don't think that if you have leftover food, small food here, sometimes it's a bigger sin to leave it than to throw it out. Just to let you know.
When?
We'll talk about it a different time. So this is what I wanted to touch. Now this mostly pertains for women, but I think it's very important. Rachel Imenu, she waited her whole life to marry who? Yaakov Avinu. Can you imagine such a thing? Imagine all your life waiting for supposed to be the most happiest time of your life. While she was wearing her dress, I'm just illustrating to make the story more spicy. I don't know if she had her dress on or not. And it was definitely not white. That's a Christian thing, that's a new thing. It's not a Jewish thing. The Gemara said they used to shower the bride with colorful clothes. She would come in with different colors and she would wear 7 different gowns and so on and so forth. The white thing is a new thing. It's a Christian thing. So was the ring boy and so were the flower boy and so was...
Ring boy and flower boy.
It's all Christian. They're all Christian. They're all Christian.
It's a girl, not a boy.
Yeah, whatever it is. And now they put the talit boy and this boy. It's all chukot hagoyim. I'm just letting you know. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it for your way. I'm just letting you know. So imagine, Rachel Imenu. Again, don't say now the rabbi said, I'm not having it and fight with your parents about it. I never said that. I never said that. I had it also in my wedding. I never said it.
Now we have it on video.
I never said it. Jambo, it's a purpose I'm saying it again. So I'm going to phone tomorrow. Rabbi, my kid doesn't want this. He doesn't want... I never said that. Do as you do. But understand what the source is. So listen. Rachel Imenu was getting ready for her wedding. Rachel and Leah were twins, like Yaakov and Esav. Excuse me. As she's getting ready, who walks in? Her father. What does he say? Take off your dress. Your sister's gonna wear it. Let me ask you a question. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not gonna ask the girls this question. On your own wedding day, can you imagine another guy coming and saying, not another guy, your own brother, gonna come and say, listen, he's gonna marry your wife, your future wife. What would you do? Don't answer. What would you do? You'd bring havoc, you'll burn the whole world down. That's what you would do. You would forget for a second that he's your pops. You would rain hell. Hell would come down to this earth. Yes, I believe in hell. That's what you would do. Why didn't she do that? Why didn't she do that? She meant good. No? She's saving herself. Why didn't she do that? That's the only logical thing. She should have done that. Why not? Why not? She don't want to embarrass her. Is that a good enough excuse? I'm just asking you seriously. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm not judging anyone. Chas v'chalila.
No, but she was a giant, no?
She was a giant? She was very small, actually.
I'm saying like at her level, she was very great.
So since I'm great, I'm allowed to have people step on me. That's what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so don't say that.
There wasn't much like women's rights back then. You know, so
Can you imagine such a
her
thing?
father said you're married to this guy,
can
it's
you-
kind of how it went.
No, not true.
We should just go for her sister.
So she used a logical answer. She cared more about how her sister is going to feel than how she is feeling. And that's the key of V'ahavta L'reach Kamocha. To care more about what the other person, not what the other person is going to say. That's Bukharian, I'm sorry. We don't care what the neighbors are going to say. She cared how her own blood sister is going to feel at that second. And she said, I'm willing to let it go, ma'avir. I'm willing to let it go in order for her to be happy. Okay. She cared about her sister's feeling. Now let me ask you another question. Towards the middle of this week's in the parasha, what happens? Rachel and Leah get into a conversation. Sister love. Rachel goes to Leah and says, her son Reuven brought a flower, it's called Dudaim. Dudaim is a certain root. It's not just a flower, it's a root. The Mefarshim say it looks like a human being. It looks like a human being. It's a root. And when you grind it and cut it up and you make it into a tea, it has the powers to allow women to get pregnant. Rachel Imenu goes to Rivka and says, your son, Reuven, brought you these flowers. Can I have them? I don't have kids. Now, I want you to understand what I'm about to tell you. Not only did Leah tell Rachel something that's, for me, I don't even know. She says, you stole my husband from me. Is that what happened? Did Leah steal Yaakov from Rachel? I think it's the exact opposite, if you ask me. When I read the parasha, it looks like that Leah stole Yaakov from Rachel, not Rachel stealing it from Leah.
Maybe she didn't know what happened.
No, she knows exactly what happened, my friend. To the point that the Midrashim says that Rachel Imenu was under the bed when they were consummating. Because Yaakov Aminu also gave her simanim at that time because he was scared that Lavan would do such a trick.
Wow.
I'm just telling you how far he went. Don't tell me Leah didn't know. Not only that. Leah, you already have boys. You have a family. Rachel Imenu, your own sister, doesn't even have one child. Not even one. Not even one. I want you to think about that. We're going to answer towards that. And what happened? Rachel Imenu, Leah, was willing to trade. And this is the secret of a marriage. What I'm about to tell you. She was willing to trade the possibility of having a child with her husband in order to spend more time with her husband. You hear what I just told you? You don't hear. I'm going to say it again. She was willing to give up having a child, which then she was blessed with which son?
Yes, sir.
Yisachar. that you're talking about different.
We're talking about Rachel or Leah right now?
We're talking about Leah. Leah was willing to give up having a child in order to spend more time with her husband Yaakov Avinu. Think about that. When a person puts her priorities over her desires, or even a man, when a person lives to put the priorities before their desires, that person will forever have more success, both physically and emotionally. And what was her gift? She had a son. And who was the son? Yisachar. That was the gift. Torah will never leave the house of who? Yisachar. He was blessed to be the scholar of the house of Yaakov Avinu. You know, this story, I named my last two kids after this specific story. Just to remember and to live a life saying, there is nothing in this world more important than learning Torah. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we have to come to this realization that if we don't put our priorities first, which is only Hashem and only His Torah, then we will never ever in our life be successful. But Rabbi, it's too hard to pray, to wake up so early for Shacharit, Rabbi. Rabbi, I sleep late, Rabbi. Why do I have to wake up so early? If I wake up my class, I gotta go to work late. I gotta be at school late. You tell me now I have to wake up at 8 o'clock, so I should make Zman Tefillah and make Zman Kriyat Shema. Why I need this? What is your priority? That's what you really have to ask yourself. Where is it? It's not there. That's why for you, the chukka, the desire, is not there. But if tomorrow your girlfriend's going to call you to come pick me up from the airport at 5 in the morning, you're going to be there, not 5 o'clock. You'll be there at 3 o'clock with flowers and a tie ready. Galstuk, like this. With a sign. I'm here for you. Why? You know, most of those kind of relationships, unfortunately, doesn't end up so happiness. The priority has to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a couple sees that, both man and wife, that's when that family will have success. Because their common denominator is what? Hashem. Their common denominator is what? Torah. So all emotions in that relationship goes where? Outside. Because we're not living a life on emotions, we're living a life on Torah mitzvot. If that's not the message of this week's parasha, I don't know what the message is. That's the message. How did I name my last two kids this? I'll tell you. My second to last child, for now, his name is Yisachar. And my youngest daughter is named Yasmin. What is that? If you look at Rashi in this week's parasha, what does he say? He says in Lashon Aravit, in the language of the Ishmaelim, Yasmin is Dudaim. Now I'm not going to call my daughter Dudaim because that has another definition, which I don't want to say what that means. So we called her Yasmin just to bring about the desire of Misirut Nefesh. A person has to understand he has to be in full Misirut Nefesh when he wants to live his life. And I'm going to say this to you, many other girls are going to be listening to this. If you go out with a guy and he doesn't have Misirut Nefesh, not for you, because if he doesn't have it for Hashem, he'll never have it for you. Never in your life. Never! You're going to have a guy that's going to do anything and respect you the way the Torah says if he doesn't follow it.
What's Misirut Nefesh?
Misirut Nefesh is willing to give up. Misirut Nefesh means giving up. No. Being selfless, but selfless not in a way of pleasing the world. I'm pleasing Hashem. I'm doing what my Creator told me to do. Yeah, you're pleasing Hashem when you do it. Yeah. La'asod nachat ruach leyotzenu, la'asod ratzon boreinu, it says in the Shem Yechud. To do His will and to give Him nachat ruach, to give Him a good feeling. Whatever that means. We don't understand what that means, but that's what it's written. That's the message of this week's parasha. So if you're going to go home tonight and you're just going to leave those doors and everything just leaves your head, then you wasted your time. You didn't even learn Torah today. The point of you going home now is to come with a conclusion that I have to put more time for learning Torah. And you know what? All of us want it. All of us are scared of commitment. Every single one of you are scared to commit. Now let me ask you something. You guys want to get married? You know, you're committing the 80 years of your life to one person. Not even, until 120, whatever, however many years that is. Huh? Can you imagine? You want to do the ultimate responsibility, but yet you don't want to have a small commitment for Hashem. So that's where I ask you, where's your priorities? Is it the Yetzer Hara telling you to get married? Or is it the Yetzer Tov? Are you running to get married because you want to run away from responsibility of your father and mother's house, which you don't even know is a 10 times more responsibility in your own house? Or are you doing it because you want to do what Hashem told you to do, is to build a family, to work in your mitzvot, to learn Torah, and have a good Jewish house? Is that the point of the marriage? So a person has to come to a realization, he has to have his foundation straight. I'm only doing what I have to do because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do it. Because I'll tell you why. If the Torah wouldn't say to get married, I personally would never get married. Because you want to know something? I think it's more convenient not to get married. But why do we do it? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us to do it. And why do I have commitment? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me to have commitment. Because I committed myself from a young age to Him. So for me to be committed to my wife is 1,000 times more easier than someone that's not committed to Hashem. Why? Because you don't have experience of commitment. Just think about it. I want you to think about it for a second. Your basic life. Pray 3 times a day. Washing before bread. Saying Birkat Hamazon. Wearing the kippah. Wearing tzitzit. Putting on tefillin. Saying brachot. If you can't commit to that, what makes you think you're going to commit to another human being? And 1 + 1 = 3. How? You can get married, you can have kids. Well, what makes you think you're going to commit to them? You're not going to be able to commit because you don't know how to commit right now. So before you start saying, am I ready, am I not ready? You have to ask yourself, am I ready to commit to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And it's likewise for the girls too. If it's sniyut, if it's tara, if it's kedusha, if it's lashana of the mouth, and so on and so forth, each one to his own madrega, of course. That's called committing yourself. Avodat HaKodesh, serving Hashem, is not only when you're in seminary or when you're in yeshiva. It's 24/7. Yaakov Avinu could have said, I'm going to stay in Shem forever and whatever, what will be, what will be. I'm going to be in yeshiva all my life. I'm chilling. Don't bother me, Rabbi. I'm learning Torah right now. You told me to learn Torah. No. That's not called doing Avodat HaKodesh. Rav Ovadia Yosef. I heard this from the mouth of Rav Mutzafi myself. Said when Rav Ovadia Yosef, before he passed away, he had a dream. And his dream was that they told him in Shamayim there are hundreds and hundreds of people that don't know that they're even Jewish. And the ones that know that they're Jewish don't even know what Judaism is. If you take every avrech, every guy learning in yeshiva, and you tell them to go out and to teach, the Geulah will be here 10 times faster. It's not enough to stay behind the walls. You have to. You need to, because you need foundation. But you also need to take it and you have to preach it out in a positive way. And you know where you start? With your own kids. That's where you start. You start with you and your wife doing it together, not preaching each other. Does anyone have any questions? Have a good day.